Good morning, everyone. Again, I am Jimit Rangras, and I'll be talking about creating GenAI powered search and conversational experiences with VertexAI. Before we dive into the agenda real quick, who am I? I'm a technical account manager with Google Cloud. I'm based out of Chicago, Illinois. Although I'm originally from Ahmedabad with their enterprise cloud, infrastructure, app mod use cases, FinOps use cases, and generative AI based use cases on Google Cloud, right? Basically help them accelerate their cloud adoption and help them get successful with Google Cloud, right? Prior to joining Google, I have worked with several enterprise customers, small and medium scale enterprises with their enterprise cloud and DevOps use cases across the globe, right? Here's the agenda real quick. One quick fun thing, when I was building out this slide, let's try asking Bard if Bard knows what's the agenda of DevFest, right? So I asked Bard, what's the agenda of DevFest Ahmedabad, and it actually gave a quite good summary now that it's powered by Gemini, right? So we will start with GenAI, although we have seen a lot of it during the keynote. We will start with it, what it is, why is it needed, and how you can get started with it as a consumer, as a developer, as well as with some enterprise use, like if you want to build enterprise grade applications, how you picking, it's echoing in. Hello, cool. All right, and then we will get started with understanding what are some of the enterprise GenAI use cases, right? Where can you actually use it in your day-to-day journey, both as a developer and as a company, right? What are some of the industry trends where it is actually applicable, right? And then we will see how you can get started with building low-code search and conversational applications with VertexAI search and conversation within Google Cloud, right? And then we will pray a little bit to demo God so that my demo goes well. And if time permits, we'll wrap it up with a quick round of Q&A, right? So generative AI, what, why, and how, right? We have been here since past 1 year, I guess. It has changed the way how we operate as a developer or as an IT organization as a whole, right? There have been a lot of breakthrough changes in AI within the realm of ML in general, within deep learning, within large language models mainly throughout this past year, with a lot of cutthroat innovation happening year over year, right? But let's take a step back, try to understand a little bit what it is from a fundamental level. Won't spend too much time around it, but just to kind of get you up to speed if in case you are just getting started with it, right? So we are in an AI-driven revolution as such, right? So couple of good revolutions were when we innovated steam engines, when we innovated electricity, right? We are at the forefront, or we are at the time where AI is getting evolving into that sort of paper, is giving us that sort of technology to play with and have a change and impact on our day-to-day lives, right? What large language models, right? Because this whole generative AI thing is mainly powered by a specific kind of machine learning model, which is a large language model. So large language models are nothing but models which are specially trained on a corpus of text data and are specialized in terms of understanding natural language and then making the meaning out of it, right? So they are not like traditional machine learning models which are trained on a specific use case or on a specific data set, right? For example, if you talk about computer vision, those machine learning models are specifically trained to just detect and classify objects, right? Large language models, on the other hand, are trained on a corpus of data and can be used for a variety of different use cases. If I would have to explain a large language model in a simple way, what I would do with a model is I would throw a pile of petabyte scale data and train a model on top of it, and then use that model to generate some content out of it, right? It could be text content, it could be image content, it could be video, whatever I need to generate, right? I could generate code out of it, right? So that is a large language model, which is a specific machine learning model that is trained on a corpus of data and can be used for generative use cases to generate content out of it, right? Why are they different? Large language models, since they are trained on a large corpus of data, they have the ability, or they are trained in a way so that they develop the ability to establish semantic ability or semantic relationship within the data, right? They use vector store databases or vector databases as such, through which they can convert the data that is passed to them, that is used for training the model, and then they are able to convert that into a embedding, which is a two-dimensional representation of the data, right? And then they are able to establish a relationship within that data. Now this relationship not only helps them just consume the data, get trained on that data, but also extract the meaning out of that data, which makes them more human-like and more understanding in terms of nature. And that is where the generative nature of the large language model comes out of it, right? Because of the embeddings or because of the semantic relationship that gets established from their understanding of the data. And it enables them for wide variety of use cases, starting from search, conversation, and n number of generative use cases in nature, like if they need to generate text, if they need to generate code, and whatnot, right? So this revolution essentially started at Google, and we continue. It all started in 2017 when Google launched its first transformer-based models, which essentially gave to encoder-decoder architecture and with the realm of BERT model and things like that, right? And then essentially Google released its Lambda family of models. Late last year we released Palm, and then Bard was announced, and then recently Gemini announced. And we continue to innovate. Like, these models essentially are available in variety of shapes and sizes. They are available in different forms and formats. Like, if you need to consume these models as a developer, they are available in Google AI Studio. If you need to consume them for enterprise use cases, these models are available within VertexAI Generative AI Studio, in Model Garden, where you can get started with building enterprise applications on top of it, right? So how can you get started with generative AI in Google Cloud, right? In Google Cloud, we have an offering known as VertexAI, which is a AI solutions suite within Google Cloud. And as you can see, it has various different layers, right? So VertexAI has out-of-the-box AI solutions for specific use cases and specific industries, like starting from contact center AI, right? It's a suite and it's a offering that is used for automating and enhancing user experiences in terms of contact center. It helps you modernize your traditional IVR, IVA experiences with a more, GenAI powered, human-like, automated experience for serving your end users, and then taking the offload of those human centers and human call centers, essentially, right? We have Doc, which is very maturely used in finance industry for extracting data out of documents and for performing optical character recognition. So let's say if you have corpus of data which is stored in various different documents, right? Like banking, finance industry, insurance companies, they need to scan a lot of documents and they need to do manual data entry from those documents within their traditional database systems and traditional ERP systems, right? With Doc AI, you can essentially leverage pre-created form parsers and optical character parsers within Google Cloud, which you can extract the data out of documents and then store it in a database and then process, like improve processes on top of it, right? There are various different other services as well, search and conversation, that we are going to talk about in the next few slides. We do have an end-to-end AI platform that Priyanka was talking about during the keynote, right? So like, say if you are an ML practitioner and if you would like to build your own machine learning models, do ML operations, which is like DevOps for machine learning models, you would want to train your custom models on your corpus of data and then do model serving and things like that. VertexAI has an end-to-end solution suite for doing that, which allows you to build your MLOps pipelines within VertexAI platform, host your models, serve your models on top of VertexAI and things like that, right? It also gives you a set of models to get started with and then build on top of it, right? And then with Model Garden, which is a suite of all the generative AI models that were released late last year and then earlier this year, right? Within Model Garden, you get access to Google foundational machine learning GenAI models, which is essentially Palm, Gemini, and things like that, and they are available in various shapes and sizes, right? So text bison, chat bison is the Palm family of models, and then there are text embedding gecko models which are available in Model Garden as well, and it's integrated in both the different versions, right? So like you can use GenAI Studio within Vertex itself for doing prompt engineering and exploring your use case, identifying which model works best for your use case, do prompt tuning within that by setting the temperature, k-mean, p-mean values and things like that, as well as you have APIs as well that are available as part of VertexAI SDK, through which you can get started with building your applications on top of it, right? And then this is all powered by Google Cloud infrastructure, that is set of GPUs and TPUs that are available within Google Cloud. And those GPUs and TPUs are available for our customers to procure as well as part of our inframod offering, through which they can build and deploy their own custom machine learning models on top of that robust infrastructure as such, right? So many offerings I have put together already out there, right? We saw a whole lot of offerings, morning keynote sessions as well. Where do I get started is the first question, right? As a developer or as an enterprise grade company that wants to build applications, right? Here's a simple use case decision or a flow chart through which you can make decisions, right? You want to use GenAI with Google. As a consumer, you can get started with Bard. As a developer, you can get access to foundation models in two different places, right? Previously, it was known as MakerSuite if you were following Google I/O earlier this year. Now it's been rebranded to Google AI Studio, which is available for access to developers directly. And you can access Palm family of models or Gemini model on Google AI Studio directly for building applications for your own use cases, for your day-to-day use cases, right? If you just want to play around, build non-production grade applications on these models, right? If you want to build enterprise grade applications, right, which are production ready, which have a specific SLA, on top of which you can have your company's data stored, right, as well as you want enterprise grade security and AI governance around it, right, and with integration to Google Cloud services directly, this is where you can leverage Google Cloud VertexAI to get with, and it is fully integrated with other rest of the Google Cloud services. So let's say if you have your applications on Google Cloud, you can leverage the data that you already have within Cloud SQL or any other relational databases on Google Cloud, or BigQuery, which is the enterprise data warehouse offering from Google Cloud, right? You can leverage that data, you can connect it to VertexAI and then get started with building your applications on top of it, right? And then within VertexAI, we were discussing, we have these different offerings. Like you can go for any managed solutions like VertexAI Search and Conversation or Doc AI, or access the models and build it yourself through the APIs that are already available, right? And these APIs have out-of-the-box Python SDKs available through which you can get started right away in terms of calling the model and then building on top of it, right? Like no prior machine learning knowledge or experience required. All you are doing essentially is just building a backend REST API by calling the machine learning model and then doing prompt engineering on top of it, right? You can of course create your tuned models as well if you wish to on your corpus of data, and then use it for your enterprise use cases, right? So what are the different foundation models that are available within Google Cloud, right? So Palm for text bison 32K, like it's available in different token sizes as needed for your application use case. There is Chat Bison, which is Palm for chat, specifically for chat use cases. It can retain context, helps you build that chain of conversation with your end customer and things like that. We have Imagen for generating images out of it, right? Like these are the same models that essentially power Duet AI both for workspace and cloud, right? So like if you're using Duet AI in workspace, if you are using slides, you are images out of it, right? You are essentially using Imagen for that use case. And then similarly, you can use Imagen as a model, call it as an API, and build your custom application on top of it, right? So let's say what we just saw of DWise or Wise GPT, right? That is an excellent use case if you want to build something like that for your own enterprise data and for your own enterprise, right? So essentially what you would be doing is you would be leveraging something like Cody for code generation and then generating code out of it and build an application interface as well as a front end on top of it, right? And then deploy it on Google Cloud as well. Cool. So We talked a lot about various different GenAI offerings from Google Cloud, how you can get started, what it is and what not, right? But what good is it for your day-to-day use cases as well as for enterprises as such, right? So GenAI essentially, like any other technology as such, can help enterprises in improving their day-to-day business processes, optimize their business processes, right? It can help developers boost their productivity. It can help with, mundane day-to-day tasks get automated a little bit, or at least, faster in sense as such, right? By generating some content out of it, right? And then there are going to be bots everywhere going forward. But here on a high level, here are some of the enterprise GenAI use cases, right? So text generation. When we are generating text, we can generate a lot of content out of it, right? It can help you write emails. It can help you generate marketing campaigns. It can help you generate, technical documentation for your code base that you have written, right? It can help you generate summary of cloud architectures or your enterprise architectures if you are looking to if let's say you are hiring a new developer, you want to create an orientation program for that developer and assign a buddy, you can create a bot with all the content behind it, and then that bot can help him or her orientation in the earlier days to get started, right? So those are some of the use cases. You can even use that for security operations or internal IT operations, right? So like you can use it for even HR operations. How many of you have pinged your HR asking if your leave is going to be extended next year or not, right? So you can build a bot on top of all of your HR policies, and then you as many times as you want, and it won't get frustrated, right? So these are some of the simple use cases through which you can embed GenAI in your day-to-day use cases at an enterprise level from a company and thought leadership standpoint, right? And then improve your processes and reduce toil by doing mundane tasks over and over, right? Okay, let's take a deep dive into VertexAI search and conversation now that we have seen all the rest of it, right? So VertexAI search and conversation specifically is a low-code, no-code AI-powered solution from Google Cloud through which you can create search conversational experiences, as we are going to see in next few slides, right? Let's take it step by step. We'll break it down into two sections, search and then conversation, right? Challenges of implementing both and how to implement, like some example architectures are. So when we need to implement a search service, imagine creating a Google search engine for yourself on top of your enterprise data that you already have within your company, right? It's a huge task. You need to create a service, you need to create a huge database, you need to index all of that data. It's a lot of operational effort to get started with, to build something and then to maintain it on an ongoing basis, right? You have to reindex data. It could be in terabytes, it could be in petabytes, right? And it could exist in various different shapes and formats. It could be unstructured documents, it could be images, it could be policies, it could be existing in some of your old ERP systems, it could be relational data, it could be non-relational data, and things like that, right? So those are some of the challenges that are there around creating search applications as such. With VertexAI Search, it's a fully managed, scalable, out-of-the-box search engine that is available, that is GenAI powered by the text bison model itself, that you can train on top of your enterprise data and then build a search application out of it, right? So let's say if you are using internal, IT storage systems within your organization like Confluence or Jira or Google Docs for that matter, right? So like you would have drives and drives of documents that are spread across anywhere. And then you need to keep pinging that one person who has knowledge about where these documents are and has a great dependency on them, right? If they are out of office, you need to call them, get access to the document and things like that, right? So imagine having a search engine within your organization, right? So like Google for your organization, right? How easy would it be to just find the document that you are looking for or the use case that you are looking for, get a little bit of summary and then find the document, right? VertexAI Search does that exactly for you. By connecting your data sources, and it supports various different data sources that we will see it in a bit, but here's how it works, right? It has GenAI based summarization. As you can see here in the preview, you can enter your prompt and then it is going to give you a summary of the section. It's also going to give you the link of that relevant document so that you can reach out to that document essentially, right? And you can fine tune it on top of your data, right? So it's not just give your data and then you are good with it. You do have an option to fine tune it as much as you need. It's grounded on your data, so it's one big problem with large language models, as you might have heard so far, is of hallucinations, right? These models tend to hallucinate. If they don't have a response, they are not going to say no, they are going to build a story and a false response around it, right? VertexAI search ensures that the responses that you are getting are grounded in factuality and are actually based on top of your data, right? In terms of data ingestion and connectors, you can crawl website URLs. However, you need to verify the domain name of it, right? So that you are not able to crawl any publicly available website and then cause a DDoS attack on their website as such. But you can crawl the domains that you already own. So let's say if you want to build a search engine for your website or your collection of websites internally within your organization or externally, you can do that using VertexAI search. You can use structured and unstructured data that can be stored as PDFs, as documents and things like that. And it can be stored in Google Cloud Object Storage Service, which is known as Google Cloud Storage, GCS, right? So you can store all these documents in GCS, index them in VertexAI search, and then build your search engine on top of it, right? And then we do have third-party integrations and connectors available in preview as well for some of these managed services like Jira and Confluence, right? And then you can build extensions on top of it, right? Like imagine having an extension between your email, Bard, slides and sheets, right? And then Bard being able to search that data and then giving it to you, right? This is something which was recently released in Bard as Bard extensions, right? So you can build your own custom extensions with VertexAI search, connect your data across various different modalities and various different formats. Or as well as leverage any partner-built integrations with LangChain, MongoDB, data stacks, and things like that, right? And you do get out-of-the-box capabilities around data loss prevention to mask your PII data, ensure that there is good amount of compliance, security, and governance controls in place, right? So when it comes to building search applications, right, the accuracy of search applications comes from semantic search abilities, right? What is semantic search in the first place? So most of the data that exists as of today in traditional IT systems is either in form of web applications or traditional databases. It could be relational, it could be non-relational, NoSQL, as well as any enterprise data warehouse systems like SAP, BigQuery, in GCP and things like that, right? So your data essentially exists in these database-powered enterprise scale systems, right? What large language models do and what semantic search needs is connection in the data that is there so that it is able to understand your search query, right? Not just do the pattern matching and then finding the content out of it, right? Semantic search essentially understands the connection within your data and then provide you the relevant results essentially, right? And this is possible with text embeddings, because what embeddings do is it stores that data in the vector databases, which are essential for GenAI models, and then converts that into a two-dimensional vector through which your data is represented in some of these numbers, and then those actual words are interconnected with each other, right? So that you are able to make the meaning out of it and then send the response. So semantic search capabilities are available out of the box within VertexAI. You don't need to be an expert in machine learning to get started with it, but of course you can always fine-tune it as needed, right? So 3 components: GenAI powered out-of-the-box experience, low-code, no-code application, and powered by semantic search, so that it is understanding the meaning, not just pattern matching the keywords essentially, right? Here's a high-level architecture, and we are going to see a demo of this bit today as well. So I have given 3 different data sources over here essentially, right? So you can either do a combination of these or one of these, right, as needed. So let's take a very simple example again from an enterprise IT perspective, right? So let's say every enterprise has lots and lots of HR policies and documents. You can just create a very simple search engine for your HR policies and documents, right? Just add those unstructured documents in cloud storage, index and import it via VertexAI search, and then you can build a Cloud Run API for backend and frontend. Cloud Run is a serverless container hosting service on Google Cloud, right? So let's say if you just need to build a 2-tier, 3-tier application which is containerized, you can deploy it directly on Cloud Run by either leveraging Terraform or by leveraging G-Cloud APIs, right? Or G-Cloud CLI commands. So you can create a custom front-end and back-end by leveraging VertexAI APIs, and then create a VertexAI search application over here that you can embed or integrate within your custom front-end, so that your users essentially are able to call that front-end, which is going to again call VertexAI search, which is going to search from the unstructured documents that you indexed and then provide you GenAI based results, right? Now, you would need to index this on an ongoing basis, right? So let's say if you are crawling website, it is going to crawl it on its own, essentially. But if it's a static set of documents, you need to constantly index them on an ongoing basis, right? This is where again you can leverage Cloud Run jobs and Cloud Scheduler, through which you can create a cron sort of schedule that runs, let's say, every 3 hours, every 6 hours, every 1 day, and then reindex those documents into VertexAI search, right? So this is how you can essentially build your GenAI powered search engines within your organization, right? Let's move on to the conversational AI part of it, and then we will move towards the demo, right? So before we dive into the conversational AI part of it, right, let's take a step back and try to understand what are the challenges with the existing conversational technologies that are out there. So, with bots as well as human powered centers, right? I guess both of these have been mutual feeling amongst everyone who might have interacted with any customer service representative, that they need to put you on hold, manually go back and search for a lot of information within those slow traditional IT systems. And if there is a chatbot, then most of the time it is not able to understand you, and you need to keep repeating yourself, and then you end up saying like, I need to talk to an agent, right? So that results in more load on human agents rather than automating the contact center in the first place, right? So it essentially results in frustrating end user experience, non-human chat experiences, limited options, and then even if you are leveraging, let's say, a conversational AI technology, right, you need to build all the edge cases out of it if it's not powered by generative AI or powered by a large language model, right? There are lots and lots of bot building applications out there through which you can create various different flows. If a user needs to make a payment, they would select one, they would have to go and call this API. So like, it essentially, I have seen customers with screen this size of flowcharts and flowcharts, and then if, like, imagine having a production grade issue within that, right? Like, imagine आपका code production में वहाँ फट गया और एक flow नहीं चल रहा है. Like, try investigating that flow and then resolving that problem, right? So like, these are some of the challenges even from developers and company standpoint, trying to automate contact center and then build bots, right? With VertexAI Conversation, you can create multimodal chat, voice, image, and more bots, which are powered by Flow CX, which is the conversational AI offering from Google Cloud and is part of our CCAI solutions suite. But VertexAI Search and Conversation actually creates a Dialogflow CX agent for you, which is powered by Text Bison. So it already has capabilities from the start. Also an ability for you to create custom flows and generative playbooks for enhancing the end user experience, right? So all, in short, you can create a chatbot which is trained on your corpus of data, again structured, unstructured, stored in GCS buckets or BigQuery data set, or site URLs, right? Basically all the data sources that we used in VertexAI search, right? You can use those same data sources and create a conversational experience like this, where users can go ask questions to the bot and it will return the results from the data that it has been trained upon, right? On top of it, you can build your custom flows through which you can enhance the end user experience even more going forward, right? So at the base layer, it's all powered by Dialogflow CX, which is the conversational AI offering from Google Cloud. And then we have knowledge connectors within Dialogflow CX through which it is able to connect to your data sources. And then you have VertexAI Conversation in Google Cloud Console through which you are able to build this low-code, no-code conversational AI application as such. In addition to building it on top of your data and then Bison getting, to know your data essentially, and then giving you pre-trained responses on top of your data, which is grounded in factuality, right? You can build generative answers to fallbacks. So a very simple example to this is, you might have seen that with bots, if they don't know or if they are not able to match a pattern, they will say, I don't know that question, can you please rephrase it, right? And then you don't have anything to fall back on, right? With generative fallbacks, you can create patterns and responses with prompts essentially in the backend, right? So let's say if a customer is looking to pay a bill, right? You can create some of those workflows in advance to know that, those are used very much in your day-to-day use cases, right? And then you can leave variables out of it, and it's going to get to know that flow, and it is going to detect, okay, if a user is looking to make a payment, let's call this webhook and redirect them to the payment gateway instead of saying, I don't know, can you please rephrase that question, right? So you can not only just have a bot which is trained and knows your data and then essentially answer end users questions, but you can also use it for doing and executing certain processes by calling custom webhooks and things like that, with generative callbacks, right? And as I was saying, you can build chatbots with natural language prompts, right? So let's say you can create these custom flows where if a user is looking to pay a bill, you can essentially have variables and then instruct the bot as to how it should interact with the customer, have the right amount of empathy, and then explain the user what the process is going to look like, and then call any custom webhooks or payment gateways if you are doing payments and things like that, right? These are some of the examples. And then as I was saying, with VertexAI Conversations, your flows become very simple essentially, right? Because you don't have to build everything from scratch. Your model is already trained on the data so that it is able to find and retrieve information from that data set itself. And then you can build any custom flows that are needed for your application as such, right? On a high level, very similar architecture to VertexAI Search. You would have VertexAI Conversation, your agent or your bot will be created using Dialogflow CX. And you would have your Cloud Run front-end and back-end similarly, and then you can have your unstructured documents within cloud storage, index them into VertexAI Conversation, and then your back-end is able to call that VertexAI Conversation, and then your chatbot is essentially powered through it, right? And then again, same story, if you are having unstructured documents, you would need to reindex that data, so you can use Cloud Run to reindex the documents. And cool. So here is VertexAI Search and Conversation Google Cloud Console. It takes a bit to train the agent and index some of these documents. Hence, I already have some bots here from the start. But I'm going to show you, first I'm going to show you the bots that I've already built, and then I'm going to show you how to build a bot as well within this console itself, right? Real quick. So before we get what I have over here is a set of GCS buckets on which I have uploaded a bunch of PDF documents, right? These PDF documents essentially are white papers on 2023 State of DevOps report, enterprise cyber security risk white paper from Mandiant, enterprise roadmap to SRE from Google, as well as Google Cloud Security Foundation's best practices, right? So what I have tried to do is I have tried to collect all the best practices that are there from a DevOps and cloud engineering standpoint, and then built a cloud engineer bot out of it to whom I can ask SRE and DevOps and cloud related questions, right? So let's give it a try. I have this cloud engineer agent which is essentially connected to the same data source which I just showed you right now. So I'll just show that data source real quick. So these are the architecture documents which are stored in the data store, and as you can see these have been indexed or imported on 15 December, right? So these are essentially same set of documents. I'll just present a couple of these documents real quick as well for reference. So as you can see, this is the cyber security white paper from Mandiant, Google Cloud Security Foundation's white paper from Google Cloud PSO, and things like that, right? And then I have a very simple Google site over here which I have just built for this GenAI demo, has some good pictures from my last visit to one of our Google offices in New York. And then here's my cloud engineer bot, right? So I'm going to ask him a couple of questions. Hi. Some enterprise SRE best practices, because it's a cloud engineer, right? So now what this agent or cloud engineer is going to do is going to not just give me the link, but is also going to give me a generative response out of it, that there isn't one best practice out of it, there are various different best practices, and then it is also going to give me a link of the relevant doc. Now when I will open this doc, it's not just going to open the doc, it's going to open the specific section or the page on which some of those best practices have been listed, essentially, right? We'll give you a couple more examples real quick. Cloud migration best practices, right? So I have a document which is known as Practical Guide to Cloud Migration. So like it extracted some best practices out of it and gave those best practices over here, right? What role play in cloud migration, right? So it is essentially going to summarize like how a cloud center of excellence in an organization plays a pivotal role in cloud adoption and things like that, right? And then if I click on the link, it is going to point to that exact section of the CCOE within the document, essentially, right? So as you can see, we are on the CCOE section itself. It's not just going to give you the entire book to read, but it is going to point you to that exact same section, right? So this is how it indexes the data and then helps you build conversational experiences out of it, right? Now, this cloud engineer agent that we just saw, right? When we create this agent essentially gets created within Dialogflow CX, right? Which is the conversational AI offering from Google Cloud. So as you can see, there are no flows over here, right? There is just one start page and there is only default welcome intent. But as you go and explore these agent settings, within generative AI, as you can see, there is an option to, ground how much confidence level it should have, right? What is the name of the agent? What is the name of the company? And what is the generative model that is powering this GenAI agent, right? And then you can essentially create your generative playbooks as well as generative flows that we were just talking about, right? Let's say if I want to pay a bill, if I have a specific question on cloud migration and things like that, I can create those generators or generative playbooks to enhance that workflow within my bot and within my agent, right? Cool. Let's take a quick look at the search application. So I have a search application which is again trained on the same data or indexed on the same data set as well, right? Which is those set of initial SRE and cloud migration best practices documents, right? So if I say SRE best practices, it is going to generate that similar response as well, that there is no one practice, right ways to do following things, have performance results and things like that, right? And then it is also going to point some of the relevant documents that are related to SRE, right? If I say phases of cloud migration, there are 4 phases of cloud migration, right? And then it is also going to reference that exact document from which it was able to extract the different phases of cloud migration and things like that, right? So this is how you can get started with creating some of these applications, right? So now we'll just see one example real quick as we are running short on time. So let's say if you want to build a search or a chat application or a recommendation engine, essentially, right? Very good for e-commerce related use cases. You can get started over here. Let's say if I want to build search, I'm going to select search, We'll just name GDG Ahmedabad demo, GDGHM. I can select the location, continue, and then I can select to create a new data store, right? And this is where you can select if you want to get started with website URLs, BigQuery, cloud storage, and things like that, right? You can configure your data and then just create your application. This is going to create your search application and then going to show up within your list of applications, right? Very similar in nature. If you want to create chat applications over here as well, is going to show it over here. And then when you need to integrate this, right, you can either leverage Dialogflow APIs directly if you want to integrate this chat application on your website, or else you can go into publish, and then it is going to give you the JavaScript code that you can embed on your website directly, right? So very easy to get started as such, very low code, no code in approach, but there is an option to build custom APIs on top of it as well, right? Cool. And if you are looking to get started, here are some of the resources. We'll keep it on for a second if in case you want to click pictures or scan the QR code. So this is how you can get started with VertexAI search. This is how you can get started with VertexAI conversation. Again, if you want to take pictures out of it real quick. And there is a very cool Google Cloud GenAI repo that DevRel teams have put together that you can get access to as well. It has super cool demos, use cases, starter code templates within Python that you can get started with if you are interested in exploring GenAI on Google Cloud, right? All right, with that being said, thank you so much for having me here and for patiently listening to the talk. Hope it was helpful. Let's get in touch over LinkedIn. If you have any questions in general related to cloud, related to career, related to cloud certifications in general, anything around Google Cloud, I'm very happy to chat about it. Anything around DevOps, anything around generative AI, it has sparked my interest as well, right? With that being said, we have an amazing audience. Would you mind if I just click a selfie real quick with everyone? Yes. Awesome. Cool. We are not going to say cheese, we are going to say GenAI. Awesome. Thanks so much again, everyone, for having me, and have a good day ahead.